Hey everybody, it's Mike here from The Art of Guitar. I'm here with the video that I've been wanting to do ever since I put out my Tom Scholz Artist Series video, which is only about 3 weeks ago now, but I was really surprised because over 100,000 people have already watched it. Usually that takes a lot longer for that to reach that kind of number for an Artist Series video, so it's really cool to see that the world is still excited about Boston. In doing my research for that video, I saw a ton of live footage. I shouldn't say a ton, but a lot of live footage. And one thing that really caught my eye was the 1979 concert that they did in Giant Stadium. There's just something magical about it. And then on the side, they did a suggested video for the same song, which was Don't Look Back. And it was the 2014 version. And so I watched both of them back to back, and I thought it'd be really fun to do this video and play them side by side and compare them and tell you what I like and dislike about each one. So let's not waste any time. Let's go to the 1979 version first, and I'll start with just the intro, and then we'll move to the newer version and do that as well.
The next song that we've got for you is from our second album, and this is the title song to that record, a song called Don't Look Back.
Okay, don't worry, I'm not going to be pausing it that quick from now on. This is just for the intro. I'm going to talk about what I'm seeing. So the very first thing I noticed was how down-to-earth Brad Delp seems to be. You know, when he's talking to the crowd in between songs. He's not doing the rock star, you know, Paul Stanley from Kiss type thing.
Like the party!
Where you're almost acting between songs while you're talking. He seems like he's just a normal guy just introducing the song. And, you know, he looks a little bit nervous. I don't know if it's just, you know, he's itching to get to the song or whatever, but it's just a real human feel coming from him. It's weird if you look at this camera angle because you see the front of the stage and then you see some people behind the stage. And even to this day, they do sell tickets for behind the stage where there's obstructed views, usually for less money. But it makes it look like there's barely anybody at this concert. You know, it's Giant Stadium. All you see are like open chairs in the background, and it's a really strange view. But if you watch the rest of the concert, you know, from other footage, you can see that it's completely packed in the front. You just can't see it in this particular song. Another weird thing is the camera switching between black and white and color. So I don't know if they really had a production company in charge of capturing this show, or if they just took whoever they could get to film it. Because one camera, it looks like black and white, kind of like Twilight Zone type footage, and then the other camera is color, and it has that washed out 70s, obviously it's from the 70s, look that reminds me a lot of those old school soap operas. Even though a lot of people are going to say that the sound is bad, you know, it's very raw. It sounds like it's coming from the soundboard directly. I really like how certain things are sounding coming through that soundboard, especially the drums. They're super loud, but there's like a natural compression happening or something to where they sound real big, real punchy and round sounding. I don't know how else to explain it. The vocals are coming through really well too, as well as the bass, but you're going to hear that the guitar gets a little bit washed out. Now I could go on and on about Brad, but one thing I love about just this intro is you can already feel his passion for playing music, even in just the way he plays that tambourine. You know, he plays it with everything he has. And he keeps this going throughout the song. Whenever he's playing tambourine, he looks like he's just super into it. And my first thought was the only guy that I think could out-tambourine Brad Delp would probably be Lou Gramm from Foreigner. If you ever saw early footage of him, it looks like he's just bashing his own hand in when he's playing. That being said, even though Brad is that emotive on stage, he still somehow holds back enough to let the audience know that Tom is the boss. You know, he's not doing like a Steven Tyler type of thing. So I think that's a really cool balance that he strikes. Okay, now let's jump into a time machine and go to 2014, and I'll play the intro for that version. Quite the stark difference in quality right off the bat. Can you tell just by the cameras and the color? It's just such HD looking compared to the old school footage, obviously. But it's just kind of shocking all of a sudden to go from the old footage to this, and you're seeing like the the big screen behind them with the big earth rising and the gong rising at the same time. I was also very awestruck by the equipment. If you look in the back, it's all Rockman gear, of course, because Tom Scholz, that's his thing. He created that. And I thought it would be so crazy to be Tom and look behind you and just see all that rack gear that you yourself created, just fueling this band. I don't really care for the drum shield. If you look, there's that plastic wall that they put between the drummer and the rest of the band. And that could be for good reasons. Sometimes when they use it for sound quality reasons, also to shield the rest of the band from the loud pounding of the drums. So that might be why they're doing it here. But I've played behind drum shields before, and it's a weird feeling. You feel very cut off from the band when you're really supposed to feel like one full unit whenever you're playing on stage. It really cuts you off, and it almost feels like you're invisible. Like people can't see you even though it's clear. You know, it's just this weird separation. Another person I might end up gushing over quite a bit in this video is going to be Kimberly Daum. Now, she's the female guitar player backup vocalist in the newer version of Boston, and just her stage presence alone just brings it to a different level. You know, she's clapping, she's smiling, and I always think that it's a huge advantage to have somebody on stage smiling and just bringing the good energy. Okay, we're back to 79 now. I'm going to let it play out quite a bit. We're going to do the verse, the pre-chorus, and the chorus.
It's been too long since I felt this way. I don't mind it. The road is calling. Today is the day, and I can see it took so long just to realize I must have grown now to everything in my life was holding me down. I turned it around. Oh, yes, I did. I just see it on the right. See me on the road I'm driving.
Right off the bat, I thought Barry Goudreau's backing vocals were incredible. It sounds huge. I don't know if there's an effect on his vocal or if Sib is back there on the drum kit singing along, but it sounds a little too perfect to be two people singing in unison like that. Now, this is the part that I think a lot of people are going to get mad at me about, but if you listen to Brad singing the pre-chorus, you could tell that even incredible singers like him have a range, and there's a middle section where the voice turns over to the head voice. And that can be a place where singers tread carefully because they're just on the edge of their voice going to that other, part of their range. So you could hear that he kind of softens up on this part a little bit. You'll really hear it the second time he does it, but he hits back real hard into his comfort zone as soon as he says the word not. And then he adds his patented vibrato. That Brad Delp vibrato that's super wide and kind of fast, and it just has this really great way of fitting the music. Another thing you can't help but notice is that gigantic organ back there behind Tom. It's just insane what they had to bring with them on tour. And, it's one of those things where nowadays it's really rare to see that kind of a setup on stage, because you could just bring a synthesizer, you could bring smaller things nowadays. But to bring something like that to your shows, that's just insane. I feel really bad for the roadies. Barry always impresses me with everything he does, from his guitar playing to his vocals that I just talked about. But I really like how he throws the slide on his finger so fast before he has to play the slide part. That's really hard to do, trust me. I was on stage once and I had to do that, and I dropped the slide. It got really clumsy with it, and I just had to go with the rest of the song without playing with it. All right, back to 2014. Let's go. Here's one of the biggest differences between the two versions. So for the pre-chorus, you may have noticed, but Tommy, who by the way is an incredible vocalist, he does something different than what Brad does. He drops down and does the harmony, and he lets Kimberly take over on the main part. But the only problem is that she's mixed kind of low in the mix right now, so you can't really hear it. So it sounds strange when it gets to the pre-chorus. It just sounds a lot different than what the album is. So Tommy's doing some stuff. He's walking around. He's, trying to get the audience involved a little bit, but it always feels like he's telling himself to do it. Like, okay, for this part, I'm going to point the mic at the audience, have him sing, and then I'm going to go back to it. But with Brad, it just feels like everything he does comes from like a inner natural place. So it's almost like his spirit is trying to bust out when he's on stage, doing all the things naturally instead of planning it so much. One feels a little bit more like he's in his head and he's planning what he's going to do and he's being kind of careful on stage. Whereas the other one just feels like, like the storm that's happening and whatever comes out, comes out. Back to 79, let's check out verse 2 all the way through towards the bridge.
Now it's a bright horizon. Oh, I see myself in a brand new way. The sun is shining, cause I can't lose them. There's no game to play, and I can tell there's no more time left to criticize. I've seen what I could now. Everything in my life was leading me on, but I can be strong. Oh, yes, I can. I finally seen it all around me. I see me on the road I'm driving. Oh, well, left behind.
First thing that cracked me up, there's a lot about the 79 version that I kept rewinding and watching over and over again, is Fran's way of walking across the stage. He's got his own signature walk. It's like the Running Man, but I think I'm going to call it the Running Fran, because he's doing this and he's in the middle of the screen and all of a sudden the next verse starts and he shuffles his way off the screen in the funniest way, and you can see him singing and everything. He's just so into it. Also, him wearing that red jumpsuit, whatever that is, it's very 70s, very Elvis. I love that look. It was really cool to see Tom actually singing backups. I know he sings, but I don't really recall him singing a lot into the microphone during this concert. He can also work that hyperspace pedal that he invented. You could hear it right as the chorus kicks in. So, you have Barry over there doing the awesome slide work, and all of a sudden you hear the pick scrape from Tom, and then that crazy delay happening, and then the pitch bend. He's doing that all with his pedal that he invented, and it's so cool to see it live in action. There's one particular angle that a camera keeps hitting that's actually kind of making me emotional when I see it, because if you know the story of Brad Delp and, his passing and all that kind of stuff, it's very tragic. And then to see him so passionate singing, and there's a light behind him shining, almost like it's shining through him. So it's kind of like he's like a saint or something, singing Don't Look Back. And it just holds that camera angle for a long time. And I don't know, I just got a little emotional the first time I saw that, and still, as I'm watching it right now, I still feel it. All right, let's move back to 2014 and see what we have. At first, I thought Tom was wearing a Goonie shirt there. Kind of looks like it. whatever Tommy is lacking in stage presence, compared to Brad or whatever, Kimberly is just making up for it. She's over there, like I said, clapping and smiling, playing her part, singing backup. Those backup singers, there's like 5 people singing during the chorus. So it makes you really, respect the older version when there's a lot less vocals going on, but it's just as big of a sound. But once again, that's just such a great look for that band, for Boston, the newer version, to have someone like Kimberly on stage just lighting the place up, Okay, I'll shut up about her now. We've got the great Gary Peel over there rocking the slide, and he's doing such a solid job, of course. Solid guitar player all around. But I thought I was lanky. Like when I'm on stage, I've got longer arms, I don't hold my guitar as low as he does, but he looks like he's like 7 feet tall here. One thing that I don't think I can express enough is how solid Jeff Neal is, and Sib, by the way, for the older footage. But they're so good that I don't feel like I have to talk about them a lot. They're just doing their job. They're just being solid. Back to 79. Let's check out the bridge and the solo. I'm very excited about this part. First of all, when Tom steps up onto that subwoofer or whatever, it kind of looks like a drum case, but I don't think it is. And he plays that epic riff and the crowd's cheering. That's so awesome. But the only thing that really eclipses that moment is that the camera, for some reason, switches over off of Tom and shows Brad. Usually I'd be like, hey, show the guitar player. I hate it when they show a guitar solo, but then they show the bass player the whole time or something. But they switch over to Brad. And this is a huge example of why I love his stage presence and just the spirit he brings to the band. He's not doing anything. He's not singing. He's not playing tambourine. He's just holding the guitar, basically. And the joy that he emotes during that, 10-second little segment says everything. He just looks like he's having the best time of his life. He could be an audience member at this point, just enjoying the music. That's an intangible quality that you can't just plan out. You can't just fake that you're that joyful with the music. I've seen people try it, but you can always feel when it's false. Franz starts to do something that kills me. He does his patented leg shake. He's got a lot of patented moves, in my opinion. He just starts letting his front leg just go crazy, like it's out of control, but I think it's his way of really feeling the music and keeping time. During the guitar solo, it's so cool when the camera pans back a little bit and all of a sudden you see both Tom and Barry soloing in harmony. And then you eventually see a roadie's head like in between them. And I just kept thinking how awesome it must have been to be that roadie and watching all this happen right there on stage from the side view like that. And then as it keeps panning even more, they show Tom's face. And that's probably the happiest, the most satisfied I've ever seen someone on stage before. He just looks like he's in heaven, I guess you could say he's feeling satisfied, if you will. And by the way, Tom has convinced me that even though I have a flat butt, that I can actually wear rock pants and get away with it as well. And now for my number one favorite moment of this entire video. It's when Fran is basically just in a different headspace. He's headbanging, he's making this crazy face. I say he went into Joe Cocker mode, basically. And he's staring at Brad as he's playing, right? And Brad's staring back. And I've been there before. I've been in Brad's position before where a bass player is just kind of like, in a weird trance, but they're staring at you. And you can tell that Brad, stares at him as long as he can. Then he turns away and sort of walks away. And Fran's like, fine, whatever. And then he goes into this crazy mode where he just starts headbanging. He's like, hey, I don't care if you're here or not. I'm just going to keep partying. So I feel like Fran is in two different realities at this point. You know, his head is somewhere and his fingers are still locked in, playing the groove, but he's pulling from a different place right there. Back to 2014. Let's check out the bridge and the solo. Really sweet flanger effect that happens during that breakdown part. Love the sound of that. That Rockman gear is just gold, man. And even though Tom doesn't step up on anything this time, as soon as he kicks into that riff and the crowd goes nuts, I still get chills. I keep wondering, though, what is that thing near Kimberly and Tom? It looks like a weird Ghostbusters device. You know, at first I thought it was like a teleprompter of some kind, but knowing Tom, it's probably some weird invention of some sort that he's capturing the audio with or something. If anybody knows, leave it in the comments section what it is, because I have no idea. I love the bass poses that Tracy Ferry does. You know, like he's holding his bass up like that when he plays the old Gene Simmons. And I feel like the bass stance that he does is something every bass player has to do at least once per show. This is a really good example of Tommy's stage presence. So you could kind of see during one point where you almost can see him thinking, okay, now I have to go to the front of the stage, put my arms out and kind of do a twirl. You know, it's kind of this Sound of Music kind of thing that he's doing. And it's cool because Tracy kind of starts bouncing with him. You know, it's a really cool thing to do on stage, but once again, it feels real planned out. Now we're going to do verse 3 all the way to the end with both versions, and we'll talk about it afterwards. Here we go.
Don't look back. It's been too long since I felt this way. I don't mind, yeah. The road is calling, today is the day. And I can see it took so long just to realize I'm much too strong now to everything in my life was holding me down. I turn it around. Oh, yes I do.
just feel so much joy. I know that sounds kind of corny, but when I just hear that ending, just see them all having such a great time on stage, and how it ends with the hyperspace pedal sound and it fades out like that, it's so sweet. If you look off to the side, you can see in the background Fran still doing his running man, his running Fran move. Now here's a really cool moment that's kind of hard to know the importance of unless you've been on stage before and you've had accidents happen. Brad turns around and he puts his guitar on a stand, which is on the drum riser, which is really risky, by the way. And so the cable's hanging off of it and coming down. And the roadie picked up on this right away, and he ran up and he tucked the cable underneath the riser. Probably because he knew that Fran was going to come trucking through a couple times, and could you imagine yanking on the cable while the guitar's sitting up on the riser? It would just come face planting down. So great heads up thinking there by the roadie. And I'm not sure if Brad forgot to grab the tambourine, but when he got to the microphone, instead of hitting the tambourine, he just starts clapping. And by the way, he does it with just as much passion and zeal, if you will, as he did when he used the tambourine. And this entire ending section, you could really hear Fran and Sib just gelling together. And because, in the recording, the guitars are down a little bit, really the drums and bass are in the forefront. And you really hear what's going on there. Fran is doing so much incredible stuff on the bass. I mean, it's just incredible what's coming out of this madman. And Sib Hashian doesn't really get a lot of screen time in this video, unfortunately. The only camera view he really gets is from far back. But you could at least see him hitting cymbals now and going off at the end, so I feel a little bit better about that. All right, let's go to the new version now, which has a lot of great moments as well, and check it out. One thing that killed me was Tracy Ferry comes over, and he looks a lot like Nikki Sixx or something to me. He just has a great stage look. There's a moment where he runs over and kind of does like a Steve Harris thing with his bass. He points it up, and it almost looked like he wanted to time something with Tom, like they planned out some move they're going to do, but Tom just turns around and walks away, and then Tracy's like, okay, never mind, and just goes back to his side of the stage. Now Gary's soloing with a slide on his pinky, so he's soloing with his other fingers, and that could be very difficult as well. So that's the trade-off. If you don't want to keep taking the slide off and putting it back on, you have to learn to play around it. And that could be a little bit strange. I tried that on stage one time and it just felt so weird. I kept knocking the slide into the fretboard and it was making this clunking sound. So he's very skilled at soloing even with a slide hanging off of his hand. I have to applaud Jeff Neal back there of the drum kit for his restraint of not hitting the gong at the very end. I swear if I was a drummer that had a gong behind me, I'd be hitting it at the end of every song. And at the end of the concert, I'd be so tempted to like light it on fire. All right, so those are the two versions. Now, you could probably guess I prefer the old 1979 footage, even though it's a lot more raw. You know, there's crazy footage. It goes from black and white to color. It's just chaotic at times, but I really love how human and real it felt. And a huge part of that is obviously going to be Brad. I do like how the newer version has such cool technological advances. You know, the screen behind them, the rising gong, the Rockmans all over the back of the stage. I think it's such a cool look. And of course, you know, the addition of Kimberly and the other band members really pull it all together. For a group of musicians that only have one original member now in the band, I would have to say they're doing an awesome job. And if they came to town, I would buy a ticket in a heartbeat to see them. Okay, so let me know in the comments section what you prefer, whether you like the old stuff like me, or do you like the more polished, the more technologically advanced version. I look forward to reading your comments, and we'll catch you soon. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.